Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, all over the world. We will just wait for a couple of seconds, so 1 minute, to let people join in. I see numbers are running up, so bear with us until we can kick off.
Yeah, should we wait for 2 minutes so everyone can come in?
Okay, I think we can kick off now. Um, Thank you, everyone, for being here today with us. And thank you to all the speakers and participants to dedicate time to this very important conversation. Um, we are today together in commemoration of the International Whistleblowing Day to remember the importance of whistleblowing to build a more accountable and fair society, and also the relevance of protecting those blowing the whistle and so many times facing serious risks for doing so. Um, we wanted to take some time today to just talk of about the intersection of NGOs, the work, the essential work of NGOs in fostering whistleblowing protection, and the links and connections with the legal profession. We will be looking at this intersection from many angles, different angles, and exploring a little bit of the challenges, the gaps in building NGO capacity, how the legal profession can contribute to it, and also hopefully to yeah, to come up with potential solutions. I think to have this conversation, we cannot be better accompanied. Um, we will have a presentation by Radu Nicolae, who is president of the Association for Cooperation and Sustainable Development in Romania. He's an international expert in anti-corruption and asset recovery, who has actively supported whistleblowers in Romania, in the country. He has also promoted the project for EU directive on whistleblowing protection since early days, and he has like extensive interaction between these two worlds, the civil society and the legal world, from an NGO perspective. Then we will turn to Isabel Ortiz Monasterio. Isabel is a lawyer at Ritch Mueller who devotes a significant proportion of her time to pro bono work, particularly in support of access to justice and vulnerable communities. She advises banks and regulatory agencies on security leading transactions and data protections, and among other. And she and her team provided support to NGOs, to organizations leading on whistleblowing regulatory improvements in Mexico. So she will offer a little bit of their perspective of pro bono services. And last but not least, we will turn to Marianna Leontiev, who is a PhD candidate at the Faculty of Law of Trnava University. Her research there focuses on the concept of public interest with the Slovak whistleblowing framework, and she played an active role in shaping the whistleblowing protection in Slovakia. And she also serves as a lay judge at the Supreme Court Administrative, at the Supreme Administrative Court, sorry, and contributes to the EU Whistleblowing Monitor, which is an initiative from civil society organizations. So without further ado, I will turn to Radu, to kick us off.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you for the introduction. I hope our participants are well informed about whistleblowers and their role in our societies nowadays. I will jump directly to speaking about a civil society perspective, how I see myself, how I see things myself in relation to the role of CSOs, because I'm here representing a CSO in Romania, ACDD, and we have some experience with whistleblowers. Myself, I have a longer extended experience in supporting and interacting with whistleblowers. And I think civil society organizations have many roles, and in my introductory remarks today, I will focus on advice and advocacy. But we may identify many other roles also in relation with the legal professionals. I think CSO's work and lawyers' work are complementary, and in my activity, I also engaged with lawyers and legal professionals in helping whistleblowers, and I think this is a key. Maybe we can follow up this dimension after the introductory remark. So, what I wanted to say is that CSOs are some of the time the first responders. And before lawyers coming in, before everybody else finding out about a whistleblowing report, there are CSOs which are called by whistleblowers which suffer retaliation. And I want to share a story with you, a short story, a couple minutes story about what we did several years ago to showcase the rapid civil society action, because what is expected from CSOs is to help as soon as possible and rapidly whistleblowers. Sometimes we cannot do this, but in this story we managed to do that. So ACDD, our organization, was approached by a whistleblower who was facing a disciplinary hearing. The disciplinary committee decision was due the following week. So the whistleblower feared being dismissed for reporting the misconduct, basically for the whistleblower report. Time was limited, the case was complex, as you can imagine. So the whistleblower called really scared that he will be fired the next week. So what to do in such a short notice? We reviewed the situation. We discovered that the employer, which was a public institution, had failed to meet legal obligation under the Romanian law, which transposes the EU directive. Specifically, the legal entity had not established internal reporting channel, nor properly informed whistleblowers about their rights, as required both by the law and the directive. So in response, we quickly mobilized the coalition of high-profile four civil society organizations in Romania, and we drafted and submitted an official letter to the employer. But we also CC'd this letter to other institutions like the External Reporting Channel, which in Romania is the National Integrity Agency, but also to other two public bodies, the Civil Servant Agency and the Council for Combating Discrimination. What we said in our joint letter, we emphasized the legal obligation of the employer, the legal obligation that were overlooked, and the risks of retaliation the whistleblower faced. We highlight the necessity to comply with whistleblower protection standards and offered our support to the employer for proper implementation. So it was a really diplomatic and nice letter that we have submitted. As a result, the employer reacted positively. The public institution replied and said that they updated their internal procedure, made the required information publicly available on their website, informed the whistleblowers, the potential whistleblower, their employees. What is importantly was that the whistleblower was not dismissed. He continues as we speak to work at that employer. So the case illustrates how if we rapidly coordinate and respond as civil society organization, we can provide effective support in such early stages. Sure, our role as CSOs is much broader than this, and I would like to get into details with you during our conversations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Radu, for the introductory notes and this important example of collaboration and that has likely had a good outcome. And we can get into more details about the intersection with the legal profession in the next section. I'll turn now then to Isabel to tell us about her experience.
Thank you so much, Bruno, and the European Whistleblowing Institute for this kind invitation. It's really an honor to be a part of this conversation together with Marianna and Radu. Pleasure meeting you guys. And while I'm not a whistleblowing expert by training, and as Bruno mentioned, I'm a transactional lawyer, I did have the privilege of supporting Blueprint for Speech in a complex investigation on whistleblower protections, which gave me a deeper appreciation for human and legal dimensions of these cases. And this important project in which we participated recently was pro bono work that we did for them. And I'm going to go back a little bit because I'm not sure how all of you guys are aware of the Mexican scenario, but in Mexico, we do not have a specific whistleblower act or specific laws. We do have scattered regulations across different laws, but given the limited outreach, like while we do have this, there's a limited outreach of Mexican authorities to inform and to ensure citizens know about what whistleblower protections we do have in the country. So civil society organizations often act as de facto advisors, as Radu was mentioning, and they do play a key role in raising awareness and giving advice. Later on, with some of the other questions, I'll talk about what lawyer-specific involvement is, but in Mexico, lawyers are not specifically trained to deal with whistleblowing cases, and I believe that's similar around the world. But going back to the pro bono work that we did for Blueprint, it consisted in conducting an extensive investigation on whistleblowing regulation in Mexico and coordinating the investigations conducted by other law firms in Latin America in order for them to prepare an extensive report consisting of a comparative analysis of legal measures relevant to whistleblowing protections across Central and South American region, in order to eventually help draft legislation in all of these countries, because most of these countries either don't have something specific or don't have anything at all. And the way that Blueprint has been doing this is that they have been working with different CSOs in coalition with them, to be able to approach the Mexican federal government, for example, in Mexico's case, to take action and to participate in these working groups to be heard. And in this coalition, alongside with government officials, legal academics, they've already helped draft a comprehensive legal framework, which has not yet been approved. So in Mexico, things are heading the right way, but we're still, compared to the US, compared to the European Union, we're behind. Anyways, I'm grateful for the opportunity to participate in this conversation. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, everyone, and I'm looking forward.
Thank you so much as well for the introduction. And yeah, I think this is it's a very good example of how legal firms, big legal firms with usually kind of a financial infrastructure that some or most of civil society organizations cannot have, cannot afford, could support the advancement of their work on whistleblowing, in this case in Latin America. But I think it's a good example of collaboration to keep the wheel moving elsewhere. I think then we will turn to you, Marianna. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to share my experience in the area of the civil society and whistleblower protection. My name is Marianna Leontiev. I'm from Slovakia, it's Europe, and I'm a Slovak attorney with a long-lasting focus on whistleblower protection, transparency, and anti-corruption efforts. I currently serve also as a member of the State Commission for Election and Political Party Financing. And I'm also a PhD candidate, and my research focuses on concept of public interest and development of whistleblower protection legislation in Slovakia, including the establishment of the Whistleblower Protection Office in Slovakia. My work with whistleblowers began, I think, 11 years ago at the Stop Corruption Foundation, one of the Slovakia's leading anti-corruption civil society organizations. There I helped to establish a pro bono network of top law firms to provide legal support to whistleblowers. My role involved serving as a connection between law firms and whistleblowers, helping to shape legal strategies and support whistleblowers in their everyday life regarding their cases. I was fortunate, really fortunate to establish, I believe, a truly exceptional pro bono network in Slovakia, including top-tier law firms in Slovakia, such as Ellen & Novery, Dentons, Taylor Wessing, Square Patent Box, and Wolf Ties, many of whom in the end were competing to represent whistleblowers. Thanks to the foundation's strong media presence, we succeeded in making pro bono representation attractive, and several of these firms have remained active in the field or developed their own in-house expertise. And this everything happened even before the EU directive was formally adopted in Slovakia. I also would like to briefly share you our Slovak experience, how close cooperation among civil society organizations and the dedicated work of CSOs in Slovakia in supporting whistleblowers eventually led to the establishment of the Whistleblower Protection Office in Slovakia. Based on our experience, we conducted a thorough analysis of shortcomings in Slovakia's whistleblower protection system. As a result, with help of Transparency International Slovakia, we proposed the establishment of a dedicated authority, which was successfully incorporated into our legislation in 2019 and started operating in 2021. And in Slovakia, we actually implemented EU directive in 2023. So everything happened before. And this authority has since done a great deal of valuable work in the field of whistleblower protection. This authority is, I believe, unique in its kind within Europe. Just last week, the president of Whistleblowing Protection Office in Slovakia was appointed as the new head of Trnava, which is a European network of European integrity and whistleblowing authorities. Yeah, since our PPO, as we call it, Whistleblowing Protection Office, since the authority inception, the role of CSOs in this field in Slovakia has diminished, as the office was designed, and we designed this office to assume our CSO's key responsibilities, including providing support, legal advice to whistleblowers, promoting awareness, building a community, conducting research, and also engaging in international cooperation. So I believe it is important to highlight that this, I would say, success in Slovakia was achieved despite, or maybe perhaps even because of the country's serious corruption challenges within the UE context. In my view, the most important factors that contributed to this progress were the provision of expert support to whistleblowers in cooperation with top-tier law firms, the close cooperation between CSOs in Slovakia, and the pressure from international institutions such as OECD or Greco. So thank you for your attention, and I would be happy later to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Marianna. It's an impressive and very inspiring example on how, yeah, this collaboration can play out with multiple benefits, both for pro bono support lawyers and firms, and also for civil society organizations, and of course for whistleblowers. I will then hand over to Dimi, who will explore the first section of the Q&A. And please, everyone in the room, do post any questions or comments in the chat so we can start addressing them too.
Great. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, everyone. And I will start with Marianna. I mean, excellent work in Slovakia. But, sometimes I think we're in this bubble that, we study whistleblowing law, we know the directive. So my question is, are lawyers sufficiently trained to handle whistleblower cases, not only from the legal perspective, but also because I think it's already difficult sometimes to handle a client, given the stress and all the emotions in this, in this process. So do you think that we have this level of expertise as lawyers to handle, or this is something in process? Your view. Thank you.
I would answer from the perspective of Slovakia and my personal experience. I was not trained at all. In 2014, when I started work for the Stop Corruption Foundation, a colleague of mine gave me a draft of the new law, and she said, "Please write some comments to this draft." And I asked, what is whistleblowing? I have never ever heard this word before. So, but I have already 11 years of experience, and now I can tell that lawyers and especially judges in Slovakia are not trained enough. And although the WPO, the Whistleblowing Protection Office, is very active in the area of awareness of education and also education lawyers, there is I can see really significant gaps, especially with judges, and also there are major shortcomings at universities where whistleblower protection is barely taught, if at all. So we gain expertise over many years, over many difficulties, my burnout in working with whistleblowers. I think every lawyer working with whistleblowers should pay attention to its own well-being and to therapy. And also because mainly at CSOs, they do not have enough capacity and funds and resources to give all the support to whistleblowers they want to give. And this was also my case, that after 6 years, maybe 6-7 years working with whistleblowers, I was just not able to answer the phone to a whistleblower. But then I spoke with Tom Devine from Government Accountability Project, and I asked him that, Tom, how did this possible that you're working with whistleblowers for over 40 years? And he told me I almost died, and I had to learn at the therapy how to protect myself, how to set boundaries. And this is maybe more important for lawyers working with whistleblowers than a formal education.
Thank you, Marianna. So we have still some way to go forward. I will go to Radu to come to the civil society. And I wanted to ask you, Radu, from your experience, what are the responsibilities for you, like when a whistleblower comes to you? I don't know if there are any legal responsibilities, at least in Romania, but what is the ethics, behind when you start talking to a whistleblower? Thank you.
Yes, indeed. I think first of all, it's important to see if you can be of any help immediately. Afterwards, you have to refer the whistleblower to a lawyer. The relation between whistleblowers and the legal professionals is very important. Some civil society organizations may be able to provide in-house legal advice. But this is not the case, especially in these times when we lack resources. So either to refer to a lawyer, either to help the whistleblower get free legal counsel based on the provision of the law. At least in Romania, the whistleblowers may apply for free legal advice and receive legal advice. And is important to also explain the whistleblower some limitations in relation to us, the civil society organization, as opposed to the relations with the lawyer. For instance, lawyers enjoy legal privilege, legal professional privilege. So the discussion with the lawyer cannot be available to anyone else. As regards to the CSOs, then there is not a legal privilege, it's only a pledged confidentiality that we ensure the whistleblower that will not in any circumstances say something about their identity or the case per se. But the lawyers have a stronger legal provision in relation with the whistleblower. What I heard from practice is that although we help whistleblower access free legal advice or counseling or even representation in courts, the whistleblowers are dissatisfied with these services because they are provided under a mandatory legal scheme, which does not incentivize lawyers to be qualified or to be specialized, and it's very hard for lawyers to be specialized in such matter because it is not a very promising market. Most of the whistleblowers, at least those that I encountered, are not wealthy individuals. They are barely able to support some representations in court, if any. There are not enough incentives for lawyers to be specialized in this narrow legislation.
Thank you, Radu. I will pass the floor to Bruno.
Yeah, thank you, both Marianna and Radu on that. I have a question for Isabel to follow up. Basically, I was wondering if you could share a little bit more of this both benefits and challenges that you and the firm has found in engaging and collaborating with NGO in this specific topic. Which are the benefits and the impact that you've seen of your work in supporting NGOs in whistleblowing protection, and if any, like, which are the barriers that you usually face as a firm to engage with this topic and supporting NGOs in the field?
Thank you, Bruno. So I think, well, first of all, in Mexico in general, pro bono work is still something that is not adopted by many law firms. So different to what happens in the US, for example, or in the European Union, where lawyers need to be affiliated to a bar and pro bono work needs to be conducted. In Mexico, that's not the case. So our law firm, Ritch Mueller, has one of the oldest and most important pro bono programs, but it's recent in a way if you compare it to what's happening. And lawyers do not need to devote a certain amount of hours. However, we do encourage within the firm that they do it. Now, specifically to in relation to whistleblowing matters, I must be honest, we haven't conducted too much investigations, different to what we've done for Blueprint for Speech, because in Mexico in general, the whistleblowing topic isn't on top of everyone's mind. And the most important efforts have been conducted by CSOs and and also by Blueprint, rather than directly by law firms with the government. So our help has been indirect, by helping the CSOs to have an impact with the government. But as many of you may know, in Mexico, things take a lot of time. Approving projects before Congress is a disaster because politics have very specific agendas, and whistleblowing, unfortunately, hasn't been on top of everyone's mind. So, I mean, yeah, pro bono work is definitely happening, but even in our firm where we do a lot of pro bono work, I dare to say that this has been my first case doing whistleblowing related things. Now, on our compliance side of the firm, where it's not pro bono work, we do have anti-corruption and help build compliance policies, which is related. It's, I mean, to prevent rather to react, right? So we do that to set up strong compliance programs within big corporations or businesses, so that whistleblowers can act if there's anything that they need to say. But when it comes to whistleblowers already blowing the whistle, we're not really involved.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Isabel. I'll go back to Marianna. I think Radu said something around it, but Marianna, given your experience, I would like to ask if, pro bono, I mean, also in Slovakia, I understand, but from your experience in other countries, is it working? And then, is access to justice fair and not costly for whistleblowers?
In Slovakia, access to justice is very costly for everybody, not only for whistleblowers. However, the Whistleblower Protection Office provides really important support for whistleblowers. So it can save a lot of money to whistleblower, and it can make not the justice, but many decisions that the whistleblower has to make accessible for him with the legal advice. And also in Slovakia, there is the possibility of a state-funded legal aid for whistleblowers. As I mentioned, then several law firms we were cooperating with previously, they still continue to offer pro bono assistance. However, in these cases, it tends to be mainly or focus mainly on higher profile cases. So it's getting definitely better in Slovakia, especially with establishing a whistleblower protection office. But accessibility of or access to justice is very costly. So if a whistleblower wants or needs a really high profile lawyer or attorney, it might be very costly, but usually these attorneys who have experience with the whistleblowers protection, they tend to provide pro bono or some really significant reduction of the prices.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Marianna. I will briefly go to Radu to ask a following question. Because Radu, I think before at least the directive, we didn't have national authorities for whistleblowers until in many member states. Now we see them coming around. So what is the relationship between, civil society and the national authorities? And do you think in some countries maybe we have when it comes to awareness, when it comes to advice to the whistleblowers, that authorities are still replaced into brackets by civil society? What's your opinion?
I don't think it's a competition here, which
No.
one offers better advice. Legal authorities are compelled by law and by the directive to provide such advice. And I think, if I remember correctly, the directive said individual, impartial, and confidential and free of charge advice. So this is mainly the role of the external channels or the whistleblowing authorities. I think what we can do is compensate on the trust issue, because whistleblower and rightly so trust less public authorities when it comes to advice. So maybe they want to double check, or because of the matter of trust, they go directly to the CSOs. So I guess in my point of view, the government should fund the CSOs to provide advice, legal and non-legal advice, not in a in a competition with the authorities, but complementary. So I would support a measure of getting more role also in the directive or into the national legislation for CSOs to be incentivized to benefit from some financial support to have this advice somehow institutionalized, not on project base. What is happening? What happens now in our days? I also think CSO may help the whistleblowers by submitting amicus curiae to courts. And in this way, they can supplement the work of the legal professionals, of the lawyers. And I think this is also an important part. If the judge sees also the defense of the lawyer and the strategy, but also sees an amicus curiae from a group of CSOs or from a CSO, maybe this could also support the overall legal strategy in individual cases.
Thank
you,
you.
Radu. I'll follow up with a question for Isabel now. A little bit building on the previous one. you talk about the challenges or the difficulties to provide support directly to whistleblowers and to get involvement in direct cases. So I was wondering if you could help us to expand a little bit of the reasons behind that, and which are the main barriers that you see, and which can be the role for civil society organizations, NGOs, playing in that to change that. Is there a role for NGOs to engage with films in a specific ways, or because my hypothesis or my sense is that with NGOs are in need of this support, as well as they could be in need, as Radu just mentioned, from governmental support and financial support from that. So like this could be like support from firms could be a complementary way of letting advance this conversation. So yes, I was wondering if you had any views on that.
Of course, thank you, Bruno. So I think first, an important thing to say is that whistleblowing assistance specifically to individuals in Mexico, if any, whenever it happens, because it's not common on a day-to-day basis, would usually be given by criminal lawyers. And in our law firm, for example, we don't do criminal law at all. No, so usually our assistance goes more in the sense of advocating for whistleblowing protections rather than defending whistleblowers themselves. That would be a first thing. Now, in order to request pro bono legal support from either our law firm or law firms in general in Mexico, the most common way to do it is through clearinghouses or pro bono platforms. So we actively collaborate with many different ones. Some are local, some are international, and that's how we receive initially, the people who are interested in getting services from us. And usually, while individuals could also request services, it's usually organizations or civil society organizations that are requesting our help, or different communities. Sometimes it's communities directly from small places in Mexico that need help to, I don't know, set up programs for their people, etc. And what we do is that we ask that they meet one or more of certain conditions that we set forth in our pro bono, they need to comply with certain things. For example, it needs to be a vulnerable situation or an individual community or sector that has limited resources. These organizations need to provide assistance to individuals, community, or some of the vulnerable sections. It could be of public interest for people that cannot afford legal representation. It's usually non-for-profit that are authorized to request services from us. If it's a big corporation, maybe their foundation can request pro bono services, but not the corporation itself, if they don't need the legal assistance. And some of the standards are providing legal advice, offering legal education to them. So many times we participate in webinars or help them set forth their compliance programs or their data protection programs, or we help them conduct legal research, which is what we did, for example, for Blueprint, and do extensive analysis that they can use to advocate or to participate in different forums to have a real impact on different matters. And of course, all of this is related to defending and to promoting human rights. The barriers that we face are, first, I guess, if there are deals that could be attractive. But for example, if we were to receive an individual requesting our law firm to represent him on a whistleblowing case, we wouldn't have the capability, even if the person, needs the support, needs the guidance. As I mentioned before, given that we're not criminal lawyers in Mexico, it would be very difficult to offer a service where we actually wouldn't have the expertise. So we do. I mean, we haven't received a whistleblower request, but I think, yeah, our barriers would be if we cannot provide the services, or that some of the interesting deals are taken by another law firm. That can also happen when the clearinghouse puts it to or offers it to different law firms. But I think that lately we've been one of the law firms that does more pro bono hours a year. Last year only we did 5,300 hours of pro bono work, which was incredible, and we hope that this keeps on increasing and increasing, and we really hope that our help in advocating for things such as whistleblowing keeps on growing.
Thank you very much. So this is the time for the public. You can ask your questions in the Q&A function, and please go ahead. So there is one question. There is one question from in the chat from Tammy. So she's asking to share your experience. So she's saying that the field of litigation around whistleblowing is becoming increasingly professionalized and technical. We also know that with best intentions, many law firms offer free legal representation without necessarily being specialized or properly trained in this area. This has direct consequences, as many cases are either lost or significantly delayed. So who wants to come for a comment? I saw Radu, you already started writing something, so if you want to go first, and then Marianna, Isabel.
Yes, I said it's a matter of professionalism. So if you are not specialized or if you don't have enough experience, then it is better not to take such cases or do proper research before. But for instance, in Romania, I don't see so many companies, law firms interested in provided pro bono for whistleblowers. So I don't think we are in the situation when we have so many firms and too few whistleblowers or few whistleblowers. No, I think it's a matter of awareness, and I hope our event today will make aware at least some of the professionals in our countries to come together and reach CSOs to try to make themselves available for this pro bono, and maybe to be specialized in this subject.
Thank you, Radu. Marianna, your opinion, if you want.
As I already mentioned, in Slovakia, it was we were developing this expertise of several law firms working pro bono, and I do not recall many other law firms providing pro bono services for whistleblowers. So the ones who are willing to provide pro bono services for whistleblowers, they already have a really high level expertise, and they're really willing to provide this help.
And Isabel, do you have any comments or?
No, I fully agree with Radu and Mariana. And as I was mentioning before, I think it's a matter of responsibility. So if you do not have the expertise, I don't think that only because you provide pro bono services, you should in a matter that you actually cannot contribute. I think the responsible thing to do, if you were to want to help in these sort of situations, is direct them with the CSO that could actually help, and maybe together, work within the legal frameworks that you're expert with, but not specifically dealing with the whistleblower case, because it's not only a matter of legal expertise. Whistleblowing, it involves many other things, as Radu was mentioning early in the conversation. So yeah, I think you need to be professional, and you need to be very transparent on how you can help, rather than just saying, oh yeah, I'll take the case and let's see what happens.
Yeah, great.
And
Thank
if
you
I
all.
can add,
Sorry,
you have also to have really a significant time for representing and for advising on whistleblower, because these cases are very time consuming. And for a legal expert or attorney who is not well known within this field as an expert, or he doesn't have a support of a bigger law firm, I think it's not even possible to represent a whistleblower.
Okay. And Mariana, there is one question for you. It entails public interest. So I don't know if you can read, but it says as a judge,
Yeah.
what
I was
evaluation? Okay.
actually serving as a judge, as a lay judge in a disciplinary senate. We were disciplining judges.
No.
So we were not really dealing with the whistleblowers, but public interest is my research question. In Slovakia, we are just trying to find our way to work with this public interest concept, and because we adopted our first law in 2014, and in the second in 2019, and implemented directive in 2023, and directive actually in Article 25 forbid to go lower your protection of whistleblowers, which you have previously. It's kind of complicated in Slovakia to solely work with the concept like European directive is working.
Just please, everyone, put your questions in the chat. We have some time more. Just as a minor, my curiosity now, because public interest was interpreted quite a lot from the Strasbourg court. So I'm just wondering if Slovakian judges, Slovakian doctrine, they go back to Strasbourg court, or they are developing their own concept of public interest.
The most of Slovak courts regarding whistleblowers, they're not really interpreting public interest. But the truth is that we are starting with the court cases with whistleblowers right now, and we will for sure develop some interpretation within next few years. But until now, regarding whistleblowing, we are not really, or the judges are not really working with the concept. They're just state public interest, and that's it.
Great. So I'm waiting. So we can still wait. I think we have 5 minutes left. So I believe we can start, closing the. Sorry, Bruno. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
sorry. There are some
Oh,
other
sorry, I didn't see
questions.
that.
Yes,
I'm
just
sorry.
flying. I
Sorry.
think it's for an Get who says, I understood that under Slovak law, whistleblowers can receive financial benefits for blowing the whistle. And he asked to confirm or not that that's right. And he asked, have any rewards already been provided to whistleblowers? Any takers? Slovak, yeah.
To my knowledge, there was not even one reward already provided to a whistleblower. And yes, there is a possibility of reward. It's possibility, not the obligation to grant the reward. And so we're still waiting for the first ones.
Thank you.
And there are coming more. So a comment from Arpita. Hi, Arpita. So that our institute can compile a directory of pro bono non-profit whistleblowing lawyers. I think it's important also because given that whistleblowing can go from one country to the other and of collaborations. So that would be interesting. So the last one is from Mihaila. So what can a whistleblower do when judges do not apply the special whistleblower legislation? This is happening in Romania at the moment. There is not a single decision of a court that would decide that the measures applied to whistleblowers are retaliation as clearly called by Article 19 of the directive. So I think, Radu, this comes from the president of the Whistleblowers Association in Romania.
Yes, I I know Mr. Mihai Mihailă and I say hello. He does an important work in Romania to raise awareness. I think maybe it is not for me to reply to this question. Is a tough question because it relates to the training of the judges on whistleblower. Our topic today is the lawyers. If the lawyers are not specialized, what we can say about judges lacking specialization on this law, or even a greater awareness. And I think the solution is to get also training for judges, but from a European perspective. So I would think in Romania we need trainings for judges for international experts. I think this is an important priority. What we can do legally, you can address to higher courts and hope that your case will be at least you'll get some resolution in the end. But apart from awareness and training, I think there are not much things to be done. But if colleagues have other ideas, I'm totally eager to hear.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, especially to Radu, to Mariana, to Isabel for participating with us today, and everyone attending this session. This session is part of the actions that EWI is leading to respond to the BRIGHT project, which is co-funded by the European Commission. And we wanted to close this space by probably giving you like 10 seconds, like 5 seconds to just share with us like your main conclusion, your like closing remarks, that the headline, or maybe like aspirations for the future that you have in this field. Radu, maybe I turn to you first.
There are many improvements that we can think of. For instance, one of the suggestions here was very good to bring all the people together to compile lists of professionals to work with each other more. So companies, with civil society organizations, with other professionals. So there are things to be improved. One thing I would mention, I don't know if it's on topic, but it somehow it is on my mind for several months, because in one conference participating different agencies, whistleblower agencies, I asked this question because in the directive there is some provision that the member states external reporting channels, whistleblower authorities are somehow, I don't know if obliged, but they have some duty to transmit reports to competent institutions at EU level. And there were several countries, agencies from several countries, and I asked them in the last 2 years, do you send a report to EU agencies? And it was like, no, not us, no. So I'm wondering if this could be a topic of advocacy for the next period, to make the whistleblower agencies in the external channels more aware of developing a good relation and sending reports to EU agencies, which may have a larger overall view on that matter. So I would personally encourage that. It's not related to lawyers and CSOs, but more with the advocacy work that we're doing.
Thank you so much. Isabel.
Thank you, Bruno. Well, I think that having forums like this where we have the opportunity to talk with, important lawyers or persons who are working in this field in other countries and see how they've been navigating and how, in this case, Romania and Slovakia are ahead of us, for example, it really helps you see how you can do the next steps together with either civil society organizations or with external organizations that are interested in actually having an impact either in a specific country like Mexico or in Latin America, because in Latin America in general, we're behind than in the US or in the EU. And I think that it's very important that we can benefit from these models that are working better than our non-existent or deficient models that we are currently building. So improving the landscape for whistleblowers, I think, can be really benefit from having conversations with experts and building this network, and keeping in touch and seeing how we can mirror things that have been working and how we can stay away from things that haven't. So thank you for organizing, and I hope that we keep in touch. You're muted, Bruno.
Sorry, Marianna, last but not least, thank you so much.
Yeah. So I will not give any conclusions, but I would like to thank you, and I would like to emphasize the important role played by international civil society organizations such as Whistleblowing International Network, Europe, and projects like a European Whistleblowing Institute or the Government Accountability Project. The support of these organizations and Transparency International was really invaluable to us in Slovakia last year when the new government attempted to significantly weaken protection for police officers. And thanks to these organizations and to their pressure, the proposed legislation was withdrawn from the parliament. So many thanks. And this is really an important role of civil society organizations with direct impact.
Thank you so much once again for your time, even for being here over time. We appreciate having this conversation with you, and yeah, we look forward to the next chapter. All right.
Just a big thanks to all the team, Kate, and all the team from the Institute, and for everyone for joining. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.